And now, here to entertain you all, because every day he's hustling. Side Hustle Cinema.
Welcome back to the channel, Side Hustle Cinema here. Thanks for clicking on this video. And on today's video, I'm going to be giving you guys a little 4K review of Bloodsport, the brand new media book that just came out from Cape Light Pictures. And this thing is pretty cool. This one had me excited. I ordered it months ago. Couldn't wait for it to arrive. And I love media books. I love 80s action flicks. And if ever there was a movie that needed the 4K treatment, it was Bloodsport. So I'm glad to have it. And now I'm going to tell you all about it. If you are new to media books, these are pretty popular overseas, especially in Germany. And they're a little taller than, your standard, Blu-ray. They're book size. And they have this, exterior that looks exactly like a book. And usually they got some really cool artwork. They got, sometimes they'll be padded, covers on these. This one's a hardcover, it's just like a regular book. Super durable. And the other thing that makes it book-like is the booklet inside is always attached. It's not a pull-out book like, we get in some of our limited edition sets and things. All these are always attached. Unfortunately, they're almost always in German. So it does come with a 24-page booklet inside. And it's got some cool pictures in here. But as far as all the writing and all that stuff goes, it's all in German. So, you gotta pretty much forget about those. But it is kind of cool. It's got some cool pictures, so it is what it is. Also in the book, you get right up here in the front, this is the 4K. And then on the back, you get the Blu-ray. Now, what is very awesome about this set is the Blu-ray is region free. So it will play on any player. So that's very cool. Also really cool is all the special features and everything is on both discs. So both discs are exactly the same, except one's in 4K, the other's in Blu-ray. All the special features, the movie, the trailers, everything is identical on both discs. It's just one is 4K and the other is a Blu-ray that of course has the 4K transfer on it. So very cool. You're pretty much getting two copies, exact copies of the movie. No having to switch out the Blu-ray, to watch the special features. None of that stuff. And we got a bunch of new special features in this. We'll get to that in just a second. I'm going to talk a little bit about the movie. We're going to go over the 4K transfer, and of course the audio and special features as well. This movie, of course, came out in 1988. It was not a big action, movie. Jean-Claude Van Damme wasn't super well known at the time. This movie was only made for $2.5 million. So it's, very small budget. It made $12 million in theaters. But, it gained popularity over time because it really launched Van Damme. Kind of made him an action hero. He, of course, went on to do Kickboxer and a bunch of other really great movies very quickly. And, just became that big star. And but this is the one that launched it. This is kind of what did it. And it also launched a lot of video games. Because if you don't know this movie, well, you've probably been living under a rock. But yeah, this movie is about Frank Dukes. That's the character Jean-Claude Van Damme plays, who is in the military. He goes AWOL because he wants to compete in this Kumite, which is a big martial arts tournament in Hong Kong. And so he, goes AWOL goes to fight in this tournament, and you know, you have to watch it to see how it turns out. If you don't know, so it's a super fun movie, a great movie. Everyone loves the action in this one, and it's so rewatchable. They don't bog the movie down with a bunch of subplots and things like that. You know, there's honestly there's barely any subplots. It's almost all about the Kumite and the fighting, and there's a ton of it in this movie. The movie's only 92 minutes long, so you know it's short and it's right to the point. The only real sub stories it has, you have Leah Ayres, who plays like a reporter trying to get the scoop on the Kumite, which is kind of this underground tournament. And so she wants to get the scoop, so she's, you know, trying to snuggle up to Van Damme, and that's a very small subplot that almost no screen time is spent on that. The other subplot in the movie is, you have two guys that are trying to bring Van Damme back to the States, because he went AWOL, and those are Norman Burton and Forrest Whitaker. It's cool seeing him in this one. And of course, you get Revenge of the Nerds star Don Gibb plays one of the Kumite fighters, and he's that brawler, comic relief kind of character. And of course, the reigning champion at the time is Bolo Yin, and that guy's super intimidating, kind of awesome looking, and you just know that the big fight is coming, And so it's just a great movie. Totally love this one. And it was always on TV. That's the other thing. Always on cable. Almost still to this day. You don't see it quite as much as you used to, but in the 90s, any weekend you could turn on your TV, go through the cable channels, and somewhere someone was playing Bloodsport. I mean, it just happened. So let's talk about the 4K transfer. This one has a Dolby Vision. It's got HDR10 Plus and HDR10. You don't see a whole lot of 10 Plus anymore, but it does have that. So if that's what your TV's capable of, I mean, you have that. But Dolby Vision is the way I watched it, and it looked really good. Because even when this was on TV, it never looked great. It was always kind of, like I said, it was a pretty low budget movie. I don't know what the conditions were like, or what shape the film was left in. I don't know, but it just never had a good looking transfer any time you watch this one. And so this movie definitely needed it. I would have loved to have seen a special feature that talked about what they did as far as restoration goes, because I bet there was a lot of work that went into it. But what we did end up getting is really good. I mean, a very fine layer of grain throughout. It still maintained that cinematic look to it, but everything was just so much better. I mean, the details. They do some scenes where they're outside in Hong Kong and stuff. All that stuff looked really good. You noticed a whole lot more details in the background, things that you would have missed on TV or on DVD or even, there is a couple of Blu-rays out there. And then just the fighters themselves, getting all sweaty, bloody, that whole thing. The 4K it really looked great. And so now let's talk about the audio. The audio is interesting. You do have elevated audio on this. It's not your standard 5.1. It is some kind of elevated audio, and it sounds really good. The thing that has me a little confused is, like, if you look it up online, it says Dolby Atmos. And if you look at the menu, it has Dolby Atmos on the menu. But when I played it, and I clicked on the audio, you know, like on the display. It has it listed not as Dolby Atmos. Like I always get a Dolby Atmos icon that pops up anytime I'm playing something with Atmos. I didn't get that on this. Instead, it does show that it's a Dolby True HD 7.1 mix. Now that is also listed on like blu-ray.com as one of its tracks, but there was like no separate tracks. So either the Atmos is on that 7.1 track, or maybe there's no Atmos. I don't know. But usually my player will say Atmos if there is Atmos present, and it doesn't. Now I do get like some ambient sounds, the crowd noise, the streets of Hong Kong, that stuff, playing through my overhead speakers, my elevation speakers. But that's not untypical, especially in a 7.1 mix. I would probably get that with a non-Atmos mix. So I'm not real sure. I did reach out to In Search of Physical Media. I asked him about it. He hadn't had a chance to get in a copy to review yet. So I'll be curious when he gets in a copy. He has more things to test this stuff than I do. You know, I don't have like the external equipment to test and see what all channels are firing, this and that and the other. All I've got are the ears. You know, I do got a pretty nice setup. I normally run a 5.2.4 system, and I have 4 in-ceiling dedicated Atmos speakers. And but either way, it was awesome. You know, so if it is an Atmos mix, it sounded really great either way. So now let's talk about the special features. This one does come with quite a few special features on it, and they were really interesting. It's one of the few times where I caught myself listening to almost all of them in their entirety. I'm not huge on special features, but these were pretty interesting because they talked about a lot of stuff and a lot of different movies. Let's see. First of all, you get a audio commentary track on here, and it's got James Bennett, Sheldon Leftich, and Paulo Torcha, who is one of the fighters in the movie. He was on set for the whole thing. The other guy, Leftich, is the writer of the movie, and that was really interesting. They had a lot of good stories to tell, a lot of interesting things about the way the movie was made, and I pretty much listened to that whole thing. I watched the movie pretty much back to back. I watched first the 4K, and then I watched the commentary track. So I pretty much watched this twice in one night. It was pretty entertaining. You also get an Uppercut into Action movie A-list, a knockout interview with Jean-Claude Van Damme. That one is 31 minutes long. That one was hard to sit through. Jean-Claude, he's got that thick accent, and he wears these like mirrored shades during the whole thing. And honestly, I don't know. He just wasn't entertaining. He wasn't really entertaining me and telling me a bunch of things that I was just, really wanting to know about. So that one was a little bit of a hard listen to, but I guess it's cool that it's on there. You get Blood Rights, scripting a canon classic with Sheldon Leftich. That one's a good one too. That one's almost 47 minutes long. And he talks a lot about his career, which was pretty interesting because he has a lot of other tie-ins with Van Damme and some early action movies of the 80s and stuff. So that was a good one. You get Wham Bam Thank You Van Damme, a return to the ring with cinematographer David Worth. That was pretty good. That was 24 minutes long. You get A Sporting Chance, The Blood, Sweat, and Tears of Paulo Torcha. You know, he plays one of the fighters in the movie, and that's 24 minutes long. That was a nice one too. Tunes to Tap Out to: The Fighting Sounds of Paul Herzog. That was a 25-minute interview. I really enjoyed that one. He pretty much tells how his whole career started, and you know, a lot of the things that happened, how he came to get this job, and some of the other things that he worked on. That was really interesting. I really liked that one. You also get the U.S. trailer, you get the German trailer, and then there's 4 other trailers that are all in German, and that's what you get for the special features. But quite a bit of stuff there, a lot of interesting stories, so many things I didn't know about this movie. I'm like full of Bloodsport facts now, but you know, that you just have to watch it for yourself. But what a great package here. Good looking movie, good sounding movie. Definitely one you want to pick up. And there's no reason to not go and pick this up. I know you have to import it, but it's not that big of a deal. If this was available for $50 in the States, everyone would grab it. You know? And don't just assume this is going to be in the States soon as a 4K. There's no guarantee on that one. There's plenty of movies that come out in 4K in Germany that it takes a long time, sometimes years, before it hits you know, the U.S. with a 4K. The Running Man, you know, I've had it on a media book for feels like a couple years. I don't know exactly how long, but it was a long time, and they just got that, you know, last year as a steelbook here in the States. Showgirls, it's been in 4K for a long time. Just coming to 4K here in the U.S. Later on this year. You know, and there's a lot of other movies too that are like that. You know, The Never-Ending Story, The Princess Bride. You know, a lot of stuff that's really cool that's only available overseas, so you might as well import it. You know, no big deal. And everything on here, region free, so no excuses. You need to pick this one up. So guys, that is going to do it for today's video. If you enjoyed the video, do me a favor. Roundhouse kick that like button, Van Damme style. And if you are unsubscribed to the channel, I invite you to do so. And as always, stay safe, have fun, keep watching those movies, and I'll see you on the next one.